Well, I often say this every single time, but I always say it. Mondays are always the most boring day starting the week. But today I decided to keep your Mondays fun and exciting. So today we're going to be reviewing, of course, MLW Fusion. So if you guys have not been keeping up a lot, well, this is one of their weekly shows that they do. Of course, they haven't done this for quite some time. So I'm glad and happy we able to get to see this. And it was a 2 hour special that they put out on their YouTube channel if you haven't seen it yet. And then of course we move on with AAA with Noche de los Grandes, which is of course the main event features of course the Mass versus Mass, Original Grande Americano versus El Grande Americano. But it does features other three title matches: the Cruiserweight, the Latin America, and of course the tag team belts on the line as well. So it's gonna be a very fun review for everyone. And then, of course, as always, we'll wrap up our episode as usual with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do some real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough of the jibber jabbers, let's get to it. So, let's begin with MLW Fusion. MLW Fusion, a 2 hour special. Now, from my understanding, this event happened back early this year, late January, but it was not recently uploaded on their YouTube channel until, of course, the 30th of May. Now, we opened up with Priscilla Kelly versus Shotzi Blackheart. Now, for those who probably wondering what the context of this match was about, let's think back. Before MLW started having women's involved, Priscilla Kelly at the time was the one who kind of felt like she was the originator and, of course, brought the door down. And now here comes Shotzi Blackheart, whose existence has become a bit of a problem because Shotzi Blackheart is making women's wrestling in MLW really fun and exciting once again. So that kind of sets it up. But of course, the obvious question: who's going to walk out with the win? Well, Shotzi Blackheart, as we know, has always been an unorthodox wrestler, and that always helped her out. And she did that, but of course, by defeating Priscilla Kelly with the senton. 1, 2, 3, done. Now, during a post-match comment, the real question is, now that she got rid of the pain in the butt in her life, and what's next? Well, it seems it was obvious that she is challenging for the MLW Women's Featherweight Championship, which is currently in the possession by Big Kaiju Shoko Nakajima from Tokyo Show Pro Wrestling. So we are yet to hear from her, but apparently later on we did hear exactly will she accept the challenge. Now, a very interesting press conference took place recently. As you know, our current MLW World Heavyweight Champion, Killer Kross, well, let's just say he put out a very unique contract. Now, Killer Kross is not an idiot. He knows perfectly well he's a target. He knows that people will come after him up, down, left, right, side to side, however they want. So he decided, you know what? Here's an open contract, guys. I'm leaving this just for you guys, so I'll be waiting for your response. So the real question is, who was going to be the lucky person to do so? Now, there is one person ever since his return to MLW, he's been dying to get his hands on this belt once again, and that person is Alex Hammerstone. Now, of course, a backstage interviewer by the name of Rick decided to tell him, Hammerstone, have you heard about what happened? Did you hear about the open contract? He said yes. So basically, he's been looking forward to looking. However, Rick got notified, informed him that someone beat him to the punch. And of course, this upsets Hammerstone. So, but the real question we ask ourselves, who really, of course, beat him to the punch? Well, we'll find out soon. Now, our next match, we have another women's match. We have Aaliyah James versus Scarlett Bordeaux. Now, nothing too special like any storyline that we did with the first one. But, of course, figures that Scarlett Bordeaux was going to win this one because we all know who she is. And she was able to defeat Aaliyah James by applying a B driver. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. Now, the Good Brothers arrived into the venue, but they later ended up being in a brawl against the Skyscrapers, both Bishop Dyer, formerly known as Baron Corbin, and Dijak. And apparently they put Dijak through a table, so teaching them the lesson. So you probably figured that they're after the MLW World Tag Team titles that are currently the Skyscrapers have in their possessions. Now, our next match, we have Trevor Lee versus Austin Aries. I thought this match was fantastic. It was like a pretty good one because we saw Trevor Lee, more known as Cameron Grimes. He has been killing it ever since he was released from WWE, and I thought he was pretty good. However, Austin Aries was able to overcome everything on him, and he applied the Brainbuster, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. And of course, during the post-match promo, Aries decided to give a lot of prop and respect for Trevor Lee about, you know, what a hard-working person he is right now and how he sees a future in him as well. But however, he has two things in his mind other than that. One of them is Mystico, who, of course, as you know, has some unfinished business. Apparently, he went to Mexico and attacked them, so basically that's one. But however, his other goal is the MLW National Openweight Championship that currently is in the possession of course, Blue Panther. So basically, he's asking him to put the belt on the line, so we'll see what happens. We are yet to hear from him. Now, I guess the real question many of us have asked, who in the hell accepted the open contract? Well, you guys wouldn't believe it. Bro. Yep. Rude dude Matt Riddle was the one who signed the contract. But however, of course, he did make a statement about the reasons why he did. He did not want Hammerstone to, of course, the challenge it. It was more like, not on my watch. It's not going to happen. Because as many of you may or may not remember, Matt Riddle was in fact the MLW World Heavyweight Champion. So basically, the person he lost the belt to is our current champion, Killer Kross. So he's looking forward to getting that belt back. So that's the main reason. So we'll see. Now, the Skyscrapers made their way to the wrestling, to the commentary booth, because the next match, let's just say they have one team scouting, because we have the Good Brothers, Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows, taking on Joe and Mark Coffey, formerly known as Gallus. I thought the match was pretty good. It was very intensified, very hard hitting, but in the end, it was the Magic Killer onto Mark Coffey, pinned by Anderson, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And of course, Out of nowhere, the skyscrapers decided to give a little payback for what happened with the attack. But however, it all hell broke loose, so that's how thing ended with them. Next up, we had Diego Hill versus Adam Brooks. I thought this match was fantastic. I mean, Diego Hill, as many of you may not have been aware, he's been under the direction of Blue Panther, learning a few things from him. So he looks like he became a disciple. But it was a fantastic match. He was able to defeat, of course, Adam Brooks with the corkscrew tornado, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Now, as you all know, I mentioned Shotzi Blackheart issued a challenge for the MLW Women's Featherweight Championship, currently in the possession by Shoko Nakajima. Well, it seems now she heard the message, she accepts the challenge, so that's pretty good. Next match, we have Carolina Cruz taking on Zamaya, who's making her MLW debut. Well, this one ended with Zamaya applying what she calls the Killer Bomb, which is a sit-down powerbomb version, so that kind of ends it right there. Now, main event is Bishop Dyer versus Alex Hammerstone. Now, Hammerstone, as you probably can tell, he is livid with the fact he did not get the chance to have the open contract, so he decides he's going to take his frustrations out on Bishop Dyer. These guys went back and forth, I mean, two heavyweights. But however, Dijak tried to get involved in this match, but he was brutally attacked by the Good Brothers. So that kind of gave them the perfect opportunity. But in the end, it was Hammerstone who walked away with the win with a power bomb. 1, 2, 3. Pretty much that's it. So we'll see what happens moving forward with MLW. But as of right now, we are officially done with MLW. Let's move on, of course, with our last review, AAA, Noche de los Grandes. Okay, AAA, Noche de los Grandes. So basically, as you know, the main event features the mass versus mass of both Grande Americanos, of course, the OG and the newly famed and favorite Grande, of course. But however, we will get to that in a bit. And this event happened, of course, recently on Saturday, May 30th, of course, in Arena Monterrey. Now, our opening match is the AAA World Cruiserweight Championship. Rey Fenix, who is the challenger, faces against, of course, Laredo Kid. Now, originally they already had a match. However, when Rey Mysterio, as you all know, became the newly appointed general manager of AAA, he was dissatisfied for what Laredo Kid did. For many of you guys saw, Laredo Kid now turned heel. So basically, there is going to be a rematch, and that's exactly what happened. But of course, Laredo Kid was intending to ensure this match stays on his side. There was a moment, of course, where he tried to low blow. It didn't work. He even removed the safety of the turnbuckle in hopes that would work in his favor. He did everything. However, Rey Fenix's, resilience, his animo was too much for Laredo Kid until it took him at least several tries for Rey Fenix to apply the Mexican Muscle Buster, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, done. Brand new AAA Cruiserweight Champion. Our next match is the AAA Latin American Championship. El Hijo de Vikingo versus El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. Now, this match happened as soon as after Vikingo, as you all know. He was unsuccessful to reclaim the AAA Mega Championship from Dominic Mysterio. So basically, the real question people ask, what's he going to do next? Well, it seems that his target is this Latin American Championship. And of course, Dorian Roldan has been supporting him on this one. And that's pretty much what was going on. So during the match, of course, Dorian Roldan, who is in fact the chief operating officer of the company, helped out, of course, Vikingo on this one, but he led to a distraction that allowed Omos to do the dirty work. But thank God for Galeno de Mal decided, he's going to teach this guy a lesson. People call Galeno de Mal, who is in fact the brother of Wagner, the Mexican giant. I mean, he is big, but he is his little brother, of course. But it all went into hell. I mean, they were going back and forth. Then, of course, Galeno del Mal applied too many chair shots on him just to take them down. But then, of course, we did see mini Vikingos showing up to give a measure of payback to what El Hijo de Vikingo did to him. But that was not enough because almost gave Wagner a knockout punch, and just like that, leaving him lay flat on his back. And then, of course, Vikingo applied the 630, 1, 2, 3, brand new AAA Latin American champion. So we'll see what happens from here on out. So now our next match is the AAA World Tag Team Championships. The War Raiders, of course, Eric and Ivar finally get their opportunity against Pagano and Psycho Clown. But however, recently Pagano and Psycho Clown have been a bit off page for quite some time, trying to get themselves on that. And that's exactly what we've been seeing. You know, the War Raiders were bringing the hurt and pain onto, of course, the tag champions. But there was a moment, of course, of miscommunication by both Pagano and Psycho Clown that led to, of course, the War Raiders to apply the DMF onto Psycho Clown, and Eric picked up the win. 1, 2, 3, brand new AAA World Tag Team Champions. But during the post match, we did see Pagano and Psycho Clown get in each other's face. But of course, Pagano was walking out, and then of course the War Raiders decided to give another beatdown to Psycho Clown. We all thought Pagano was going to try to save Psycho Clown, but nope. He just kept on walking, never looked back. So we may see a feud between those two somewhere down the road. Now our main event is the main event that many of us has been following. We got Mask versus Mask, the original Grande Americano versus El Grande Americano. Now many of you may remember this is one of those moments where we have noticed the body types of people and all of that and that sort of thing. So they've been going on and off of trying to prove who is the actual real Grande Americano. So that was the whole thing. But however, the newly improved, the second version of Grande Americano has been so popular in Mexico and people love that. So that kind of led to the whole thing. Now, as soon as the introductions were made, original Grande Americano grabbed a guitar from the mariachi and whack them. Whack, of course, Grande Americano just to keep them down. Even Rey Mysterio was not happy with what he just saw. So the match continued for quite some time, going back and forth in many ways possible. There was even a chair fight going on, which was great, until of course los Americanos hermanos Julio and Bruno showed up to give a beatdown onto Grande Americano. And then of course Grande Americano applied the flying headbutt. OG tried the flying headbutt on him, but it failed. Basically, he kicked out. But thank God for Rayo and Bravo Americano showing up to kick both Bruno and Julio's butts completely. They even went all the way to the staging area and tried to fight them off. They even brought a kendo stick and that sort of thing. Then, of course, at some point, while OG has been, in fact, disoriented, he ran into Ojitos, a famous comedian, and he got in to get in his face. But apparently he got whacked in the head by that walking stick onto him, so it took matters in their own hands. And of course, Grande Americano gave him another beatdown outside. And then later, a mariachi showed up and whacked, of course, OG right in the face, and it turned out to be Pimpinela Escalata, who was in fact taken out by OG himself. And then, of course, when things were getting out of control, we did see, of course, OG tried to bring in some pain until Andrea, of course, Grande Americano's girlfriend, showed up. So he's like, OG goes like, "What the hell are you doing here? You're a fire. You can't be here. Get out of here. Get out of here." And of course, she's saying in Spanish to him, I'm going to say it in English anyway to you guys, "Shut up, shut up." And she pulled down a ticket, so that means he can't do squat. And then JBL's like, "Where did she get a ticket? Oh, it was all sold out." And then, of course, all hell was breaking loose and every more. I mean, yeah, sure, Grande Americano was doing everything humanly possible to take him out. Until, of course, he did the running headbutt. And then just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. El Grande Americano defeated the original. And just like that, it was over. But however, that doesn't end things. In Mexican tradition, you have to the loser must remove the mask and show his face to the world. And of course, when he did, we all kind of knew who it was, and it was Chad Gable. So, but he did state that he will return to Mexico, but not as a masked wrestler. So basically, that's pretty much it. But I think we all believed this match was fantastic. A very good storytelling, where you got this guy who dressed up, who's not Mexican, but he is in fact accepted by the Mexican people, and that's what we wanted to see. And I think it was a very fantastic match, a good, fantastic storytelling. So we'll see what happens down the road. So that's pretty much it what we have on this, and let's move on to our last thing to wrap up our episode: news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. Of course, for our upcoming events, it's all about the GCW stuff, so that's all I got right now for all of you. As you know, on June 6th, they'll be doing a 2-day event in Atlantic City. One of them is, of course, it's the Tournament Survival 11th. They just announced Masashi Takeda will take on Jonathan Gresham. So that's pretty much what we hear. As you know, they'll be making their way to LA on the 26th of June for America's Most Wanted. It was announced we have Desperados versus Vengador and Rey Horus. And then the following day, on the 28th of June, they'll be making their way to Phoenix for Life of Crime. They announced Starboy Charlie taking on Mr. Danger. Now, it was also later announced that once again the weirdest event of the year that happens in 4th of July, near before or after 4th of July, Backyard Wrestling 8 is back. So basically, they announced that. So mark that in your calendars. Now, on to some developments. J. Bale went on to Fightful Select, was reported by Fightful Select that he speculates that AAA could have another TV deal. So it's still unclear about that. If it's true, maybe because of the success with their partnership, with their acquisition being part of WWE, who knows? But we'll find out. If there's any information about that, I'll let you guys know. Now, it's also been reported that Mike Santana, his TNA contract will be expiring in July. However, there's been word going around that WWE have a key interest in Mike Santana. So I'm sure there's been talks about this before. So we'll see how things will go from there. But as you know, he is our current TNA World Champion. I wouldn't be surprised if he loses this belt before the contract expired, but we'll see. Now, as you all know, MIRAI recently left not too long ago from, of course, Marigold, but apparently she gave her thoughts about the current situation with Marigold, and this is what she had to say. I hear various things. There's a lot of injured wrestlers. I don't think you can deny they're still in a difficult situation. Even at this Auto Award show, I never thought I'd be able to say it. I'm back again soon. After leaving the side of Ogawa-san, who took a great care of me, I want to bring back a lot of results and say, this is what I've accomplished. And when we meet again, in terms of my own feelings, there is part of me that thinks it should be after I've grown a bit more. But if I'm ever called upon as a hero. So yeah, so basically there's a lot of things that she was dealing with. I understand that. Now, apparently there's been a in January there was a class action lawsuit against WWE, allegedly for deceptive marketing practice regarding access to the PLEs in ESPN Unlimited. And this is from what they're saying. There has been the latest filings from the plaintiffs asking that discovery will not be stayed, as they argue WWE cannot be trusted to preserve evidence, point out to the recent ruling against Nick Khan for destroying evidence. So it seems now there's been problems with WWE. This is something I'm sure many people know. This is nothing new, but we have known they have done things very interesting. Now, very fortunate news in the Marigold world. As we talked about MIRAI, well, apparently another person from the promotion Seri Yamaoka is going to be out of action for 6 months due to an elbow injury during a match. And this is what Marigold put out in a statement. They're saying that Seri Yamaoka, who dislocated her left shoulder in Shinjuku Face event on May 28th, was examined by a specialist and diagnosed with a traumatic shoulder joint instability on the left shoulder. The surgery is called arthroscopic stabilization surgery, and the surgery date set on June 9th. It is expected to take about 6 months for her return, and we appreciate your understanding. So yeah, so basically she'll be out for 6 months, which is gonna suck for her, but I hope she recovers well and hope things move well. And I think this is something that, of course, Mirai has heard, that wrestlers are being injured. We have seen that a lot of times. This was not supposed to happen, but it did. So uh, I don't know how they're gonna fix that, but we'll see. But as of right now, we are done with everything. Let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode coming up. We might have to do, of course, NXT. If there's any other events that I might be doing, I'll see to that. But if there's any other more, we'll go from there. So we'll leave things as it is as of right now. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I'm as bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day.